All right, welcome back to the channel. If you're just joining me for the first time, welcome. Got the M1 Garand back out here today. I'm going to talk a little bit about oiling and greasing your Garand. I've got another video up about this. That video is strictly about where to grease the Garand, because there is a lot of question among Garand owners, particularly younger ones. Where do I put grease? Well, I'm going to show you that first, because I think that's probably what brought you here to begin with. And then I'm going to talk about the oil and how you oil the gun and why you use grease versus oil. We're clear. I'm going to go ahead and break it down. We need to at least field strip it. There's some components that we can't get to just by a field strip, so I am going to have to take it apart a little bit more. So let's set the stock aside for now, because we're not going to need that. So we've got our receiver group and our trigger group. Now, there's a general, got dog hair over here. I got a German Shepherd and he sheds like crazy. It's just a fact of life for me. So there is an old adage, and I don't remember specifically reading this in doctrine, because I do study a lot of older military field manuals. I don't remember the saying being in the manual, but there's an adage: if it rotates, oil it; if it slides, grease it. Or the other way around, I think, is the more common way you'll hear that. If it slides, grease it; if it rotates, oil it. So let's talk about what actually rotates and what actually slides. Some of it's pretty straightforward, others is not. The CMP says that shiny surfaces show you where the grease needs to be on an aged gun. That is telling you where you need to focus on. I start with the bottom of the barrel and work a little up the receiver. I have cleaned and greased it recently. You want to resist the urge to put too much, because if you go crazy and just put all kinds of it all over the place, it will gum up and attract too much foreign matter like dust, dirt, dog hair. And the goal here is to make the weapon function as smoothly and as efficiently as possible, not to attract dirt and gunk. The next place I'm going to focus on is inside the channels. There's one on the outside of the receiver and one on the inside. This is where the bolt is moved by the charging handle. There are two vertical channels inside the internal magazine where the follower moves. I put just a bit inside there. The bolt assembly itself does rotate a little bit, so I put oil on the top edge. You do not want to get oil, I repeat, you do not want to get oil on the front of the bolt. This is also called the face of the bolt. This is where it comes in contact with the ammo, and you don't want to introduce anything that will interrupt that process of cycling ammo properly, particularly if it's a slippery substance like oil. Next is the top of the trigger group. I put a little spot of grease on the tall part here, which is called the hammer. Back to the receiver. You can see in the rear portion here, it is just a little bit shiny. That's where the bolt assembly slides back and forth. I do dab a little bit of grease back there just to help with the movement of the bolt. The op rod slides, so I put a little bit here. I didn't overdo it on this video. I would put just a little bit more, but it has been greased already. I'm just demonstrating. As the op rod slides, it will spread the grease along this part internally in the rifle. Coming back to the oil, the only other places that I apply the oil is the trigger group. It has a lot of wear, many rotating parts areas. Again, I don't overdo it, just a light dressing for ease of movement. I also use oil on the mainspring. No, it doesn't rotate, but I do feel like it needs some kind of lubrication. If you put grease on it, the grease just gets gummed up in the coils, and it's really difficult to get that out. So let's talk about the why. The Ordnance Department and John Garand decided that the grease would hold up against the weather and the environment, for example, heavy rains, much better than oil. The exception here is cold weather temperatures, and I'm talking extreme cold. Think Alaska, the Rocky Mountains, that sort of thing. In that weather, it's recommended to not use grease, as the cold will make it harden and get too thick to do its job properly. In those cases, you're going to want to use either some sort of dry lubricant or a very thin oil. A little bit about this rifle. It's a Springfield Armory 1.7 million serial number range. That puts it about a 1943 manufacture. The trigger group is stamped IHC, which is International Harvester. Etched into the magazine well are the letters SA and numbers 1-64. This is Springfield Armory in January 1964, which is the rebuild date before Springfield Armory shut down in 1968. Once you're done with lubrication and cleaning, you're ready for reassembly and a final wipe down on the external components before it goes back into storage. Drop me a comment and let me know what you think. Do you all like these instructional type videos? The historic case files? Or just my range trips where I'm blasting away? Obviously, the range trips are a lot more fun, but I also like sharing my knowledge with others so that you can have the best successful, best functioning historical rifle or firearm and get the most out of it and hand it down for generations to come to enjoy. Well, thanks for watching, thanks for coming by, and I'll see you in the next one.